Hi everyone, welcome back to Writing with Miss Hayes in first grade. So we've been talking a little bit about writing in a journal during this time in history because it's so important to think about what we're going through. So far we've learned how-to stories, writing about how to do something, and we've also learned about writing reviews for the things that we've been watching and tasting and trying out during this time. Today, we're going to talk about the joy of writing lists. Lists are fun, they can be fast, or they can last your whole life, and they're really interesting. So let's jump into learning for the love of lists. So there's a couple of reasons people write lists. One of the big reasons people write lists is to remember. We can't remember all of the things that we're supposed to remember all the time, so writing a list can really help you. First, you might have to write down all the things you need to do. They might be things you want to do throughout your life, or they might be stuff you need to do today, and you gotta get them done. So to-do lists are a really easy way to help you remember what you need to do. You might want to remember things that you treasure. When you treasure something, it means it's really important to you. You love this thing or these things, and you want to write them down so that you can remember. I know that as a grown-up, looking back at my journals from when I was only 7, or when I was 10, or when I was 12, it's really fun to see the people and the things that I treasured, because some of them will change and some of them stay the same. And it's really fun to look back at what you treasured. Another big reason that people write lists is to help them get organized. Being organized can help us to keep all of the things straight that we have to remember. And you can also just organize things that you love. Like you could write a top 10 list. What are the top 10 movies you've ever watched? What are the top 10 books you've ever read? What are the top 10 worst foods you've ever eaten? So those are kind of fun. You can organize things in different ways. You can organize them from worst to best. Now, you can go from best to worst, but I find it's kind of fun to start with what I'm like, bleh, I don't like this. Or maybe it's just the worst of these great things. And then by the time you get to the end, you're feeling great because you're at the best. So those are just a few examples of the reasons people write lists. Now, another thing that I wanted to show you with lists that I just love, lists have a lot of choice. Choices are so great. That means you can do what you want. So for example, you could choose to write a list that's short and sweet. Maybe it's a grocery list and you want to remind your mom to please pick up milk and eggs and some waffles. Short. Or it could be a long list. I'm going to show you a list that I keep adding to and will add to for the rest of my life. It's called an ongoing list. It's a list that goes forever, for the rest of your life. It's kind of fun. Another choice that we have is the way we organize our list. We could use numbers to organize it, or we could use bullets to organize it. Now, bullets can be any shape. They could be circles, they could be hearts, they could be checks, they could be all kinds of things. So now that we have some ideas of lists, let's look at a few examples. Now, you can write lists on paper, or you can do digital lists. That means that you have lists on the computer. So let's look at a couple things. I'm going to start with a digital list. That means that this list is usually on the computer, but I printed it out for you. So this is my to-do list. So it's a thing I need to remember to do every day. So anytime I get an email that says, can you please do this on Thursday? Or do you have this appointment on Monday? I write it on my list for the week. So I have this on my computer and I type in every time somebody sends me something that I need to do. Now you'll see that some of these have big gaps. That's because they take a lot of time. So these are my to-do lists, and it helps me keep track of all the things that I need to do for this week. And I have one for next week, because sometimes I get told what to do today, but I don't have to do it until next week, and it's a lot to keep track of. So that's an example of a to-do list, but you can always write these on paper too. Now let's look at an example of a something I treasure list. So this list I decided to write out, and I wrote out the names of the people I treasure. So just like a story needs a title, your list needs a title too. And this is a list of all the people that I treasure, and I'm still adding to it, you can see. And another choice that we had down here, remember, is we could use numbers or we could use bullets. With this one, I decided to use a heart bullet because I felt like if I put numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, just because Dana is number 6 doesn't mean she's number 6 in my life. I love her very much. She's my sister. So I decided not to use numbers because these are just all people that I really love and I treasure them. They're so important to me. Let's see what the next example list is. Ooh, this list is one I'm still working on. I decided to go do a worst to best list with Star Wars movies because I just rewatched all of the main story movies, which there's like 10 or 11. So I decided to do a worst to best. But as you can see, this is such a hard choice. I'm still working on this list. The only thing that's for sure is I think these 3 movies are the absolute worst. But I'm still deciding. All these movies are so good and I'm still having trouble deciding which one goes where. And that's the cool thing about lists is it makes you think sometimes. I have to really think about which of these movies is my actual real live favorite Star Wars movie. And as you can see, I'm still working on it. Okay, so we did a to-do list, a treasure list, a best to worst. I decided to do a top 4 list. I wanted to do a short and sweet list. These are the top 4 colors that I really love. I love black, purple, red, and green. They are the top colors to me, right? Let's see. Ooh. Here's another digital list. So this is a fun list that I would really love to see you guys start doing. This is a list that I keep on the internet, on my computer, of all the books that I've read. Now, I only started this 2 years ago. So these are all the books that I've read in the last 2 years, 2 or 3, I think it was 3 years ago. And it just keeps this list for me of all the books that I've read. And I'm hoping to eventually, as you can see, there's no kids books on here. I haven't started adding the books I read to you yet, and I'm really excited to start adding those books to my list. So that's another idea you can do is a book list. This is one of those ongoing lists right here. One of those lists that I'm gonna keep doing for the rest of my life. And that's really fun because you can look back and see all the books that you have read. Let's look at one more example. Top 10 recipes. So these are foods that I constantly get asked to make because they're people's favorites. And they go from 1 to 10. And you can have 1 be the most favorite recipe and 10 be the worst. Or you can have 1 be the worst. Well, it's not the worst. All of these are delicious. But on this list, this is the one that I get asked for the most. So I made it number 1. So that's another example of a top 10 list. You could list your top 10 foods. What are your favorite top 10 foods? Aren't lists fun? See, they're so fun. All right, so now it's your turn. And you've got 2 things here for Miss Hayes to help you. First is our idea of what lists are to remember and to organize. And our choices, you can make it short, you can make it long, you can do numbers, you can do bullets, which are just little pictures. And then I'm giving you this list to get you started. These are some ideas of things that you could do right now, easy peasy. You could write a list of everything you want to do when you get back to school. So like for me, number 1 would be to hug everybody that I missed when I get back to school. I need to clean out my desk when I get back to school. I'm so excited to hug people is number 1 and number 3 when I get back to school. Things that you're grateful for. What makes you so happy in your life that you just want to say, I am grateful for food, friends, family, shelter. What is the list of things that you are so grateful for? Now this one's kind of sad, but sad things can be really good and it can really help you to write them down. What do you miss? Write a list of the things that you really miss right now. I miss reading in the park with my best friend. I miss going to the store without a mask on. Those are things I miss right now. You can write a list of the books you read. Every time you read a book, you write it on your list. It's so fun. The shows you watch, TV, movies, write a list of what you're watching. It can be really fun to look back when you're older and see all the things that you watched. Food. Oh, raise your hand if you love food. I'm raising 10 hands right now. So food is so much fun to write down your favorite food. Write a list of your favorite recipes. What are your favorite types of cookies, desserts, pizzas? There's so much to write about food, and lists is just another thing. So I hope this gives you some ideas to get you started writing wonderful lists. And until next time, keep writing, and I miss you.